In St. Paul, we had a 3-year residency. We had 3 composers involved: Fred Lerdahl, Hyla, and Chen. Each was in residence technically for 1 season. And the idea was that each produced a new piece for the orchestra. And one of the things that was important about the residency in St. Paul was to provide multiple performance opportunities for the new piece. So rather than just play the piece once or play it on a new music concert or perform it maybe once in a subscription week, the pieces were each done multiple times over the course of the season in which they were premiered. And we also, through the generosity of Meet the Composer, were able to put together a sort of finale for the project at the end of the 3rd year, where we went back and did all 3 new pieces, as well as a piece which won a composer competition. Once during the 3 years, as part of the project, there was a young composers competition in which the various people involved in the project adjudicated and selected a winning piece that was also performed by the Chamber Orchestra at this final concert.
I think the finalists all had a tremendous experience. Not only because their music was played really well, but because they were treated so well by the orchestra. They were picked up, at the airport. They were put in a really good hotel. They were treated like artists, and that was, to an extent, I think that's unusual for a young composer. And so it was a very positive experience for everybody.
For the composers in this emerging composers portion of the project, I would hope that they would have left, number one, with an experience working with one of the most professional, kind of top-level chamber orchestras, orchestral institutions available. I mean, certainly beyond what they would have gotten even with high-level kind of university ensembles playing their music. The attention, the rehearsal, the interest of the players, the interaction with the players. And then also, it doesn't look bad on their resume. So I think it's a helpful thing for them to have had a performance by the SPCO that they can use to further their career. And, also in the case of the composer who won the competition, the orchestra was kind enough to approve him using the recording of the piece for other grant applications and for his own kind of professional career development. I think that's actually, for me as an artistic administrator, that's a crucial thing, because it's so much harder for a composer to kind of make headway if they don't have audio of their music that they can share and use to kind of promote themselves. So that is it may seem mundane, but that might be one of the most important things that came out of it.
The most important thing to me was that I was commissioned to write a major orchestra piece for the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, which I did. It's a piece that lasts 18 minutes, and it's one of my really serious pieces. And the conductor was Cliff Colnott in the first round of performances, and he did a really good job in limited rehearsal time. And so it was a very wonderful experience. Then, as part of the residencies, it was a really 3-year thing. The following year, when Hyla was the resident composer, they performed another piece of mine called Waves, another chamber orchestra piece. I didn't go to that performance, but I understand it went well. And then the 3rd year, when Chen was the resident composer, they brought all 3 of us out at the very end to have all of our works performed.
I hope that the experience will lead to other similar focuses, or whatever you'd like to call it, on specific composers kind of over longer span of time. Also maybe revisiting other works by some of these composers to build on what happened during the residency. Again, I think that developing the audience's relationship to these composers, as you would their relationship to any other composer, is a crucial element of bringing new music, back to the center of kind of the discourse of orchestral programming and performance.
Music Alive does engages many kinds of orchestras, community orchestras, and so on like that. This was sort of at the high end in terms of the expense, I think, and the commitment of the orchestra and the commissions and so on. And not just giving a composer a commission, but bringing the composer into the sort of family of the orchestra for a certain period of time. In this case, it involved several visits during 1 year and coming back a couple of years later, in my experience. That creates a kind of social connection and bond with the performers and with the organization. It's good for the composer, it's good for the community, I think it's good for the orchestra. So as a model of how commissions work, I think it's something to be desired, where it's not just in and out, but rather it's a real relationship.
I'm Ed Harsh. I'm the president of Meet the Composer. What you've just seen is people who have been involved in Music Alive residencies talking about their experience and talking about how it really worked for them. We want to help you take the next step, how you can build on these models that you see in the videos and make them work for you and your situation. Talk to us. Bring your ideas. We'd really like to see if there's a way that we can help you think through how the Music Alive program might actually work for you.